from your friend Max, the master of covering mistakes. Well, good morning, Glue Troopers. Max and Max's Models here. This video is really about what I did yesterday. First off, I wanted to show you a couple of better pictures of those propeller types. One on the left is the paddle blade. The one on the right has the cuff tip. Apparently the paddle blades give better low altitude, like takeoff performance carrying a heavy load, and the longer cuff tips are better for high altitude work. And there's a quick close-up so you can see the difference. But I will be putting the paddle blades on the P51, or I should say the F51. Speaking of which, even though I'd clamped down everything last night, that fuselage still bulged even under the clamps. It pushed the windshield out of place when it was supposed to be hardening, and it left a terrible ridge all the way across the front, and there's just no way that I was going to be able to let it go like that. So I went ahead and removed it very carefully, and you know how brittle this stuff is, and to my amazement I managed to get it off in one piece, which was essential because the thing was it was bad on both sides. It just would not sit. Turned out it was the glare shield, which has the armor plate on it, the armor plated glass, was just applying a little too much pressure. So I manipulated that, which means I pushed on it till I heard a loud crack and it fell into place, but it was in place now. At this point I had a choice to make. It was still a snug fit with the armor plated glass, and here it is with the armor plated glass and here it is without. You really can't tell the difference, and I should have just left it out. But, you know, ego got in the driver's seat. Like, nope, everything's going to be in here. It's going to be 100% correct, even though the world's never going to know. And the only thing is I needed to get the armor plated glass to bond to the windshield just a little bit, enough that it wouldn't move around when I set it in. If I had been doing that right, and I never should have had it in to begin with, just left it out, but I would have used a little white glue or something and given it a half hour to set. But now I've got the thin stuff here. I'm just going to put a tiny little dab on it, and of course with the smooth acrylic on both sides, as soon as I touched it, it capillaried into the windshield. So I immediately went into panic cleanup mode. Of course, the water and the X28 thinner, none of that was going to really have any effect on the glue. I had to give it a quick touch with airbrush cleaner. It was the only thing I had handy, which promptly had to be cleaned off itself. Then I washed it, and then got the polishing Q-tips out and everything, and started using the grit, the acrylic polish, and ground on it. That did the same thing with the Phantom, by the way. Both 1/32 scale Tamiya models I built somehow managed to mess up the windshield, which, as you know, is one of the most important parts of the model. But I got it presentable, and I figured, well, it's an old airplane, it's been in combat, we'll just write it off as wear and tear. And once I got it cleaned up as good as I could, I dipped it in floor wax to make sure it didn't have a chance to start clouding up as it gassed out. I decided this was probably the time, once that hardened, to go ahead and start masking off the canopy and getting ready for paint. And this model has so many parts to it. It's just every tube, pipe, and hose is there, including on the landing gear, which I have to admit, it's a really nice system on the landing gear, but there's a lot to it. So while things would be hardening, I would start working on that little Hasegawa 1/72 scale M1 tank that Brett gave me. And in itself had its own little boogie boos. I mean, it fit okay, very tight, but one of the things is that since it has hard plastic tracks, they're not curved. It tells you to groove them, to put a slice here so you can manipulate them a little bit. But I just decided to go ahead and give a shot with my brass bender, and it actually worked out pretty good. So I was able to get the tracks bent and everything, and a few little foibles, nothing new. It tells you to cut the legs off the tank commander if you want to pose him. I'm like, okay, why would you do that? But anyway, I went ahead and wedged him in there and without it, so he's riding tall in a saddle. But didn't really have too many problems with the tank. It was just something nice to kind of low stress, a little simpler, although there are a lot of tiny parts on it, but to work while I'm in between phases with the Mustang. So going back and forth between the two, got the cowling and everything fitted on the Mustang, and all the magnets are in there, so they all cling into place. There was one piece on the bottom. I was like, it clings on magnetically. I'm like, when I put the cowling on, it's on the way. I'm like, oh, that you cling that on with a magnet if you want to display it without the cowling, and then you pull it off if you're going to put the cowling on. The cowling's held in, the lower cowling held in by screws. But got the first coat of paint on the model. Got the landing gears assembled. They'll go in tomorrow, and I still need to paint the landing gears, but everything has been pre-fitted. It looks good. I did paint the wheels, so they're already put together. I just have to get the landing gear painted and then assemble everything and probably get the last of the paint on it tomorrow. I'm using the Korean Air Force version, which is pretty much all aluminum with a black glare shield. I'm keeping it kind of basic, and at least I got the windshield to see properly this time. So, but it's still going to need a little putty and a little cleanup just from the rough and tumble adventure it's had so far. So, first primer coat is on it, and it's just the top, and it's looking okay. It'll look good when I'm done. I just be more careful, and that was really frustrating, but we'll salvage it. And that's what I got done. I hopefully will have it done on the 5th, so I can start getting the Korean War group build put together. And of course, you guys know I just put up VB59, and I'd gotten so far behind on that it's 30 something, like 37 minutes long, because there are just so many pictures. And of course I'm using the YouTube safe music, so kind of lost a little bit zip doing that, but yeah, there you go. What you gonna do? And that's where we're at for right now. I'll probably finish the tank today also, and get that up on the shelf. So you also have to cut out the rear of the skirts in the back. Maybe there's different versions of the M1 or something, but that was, it comes with these solid pieces, and then you flip it over, and there's these big indentations where you're supposed to cut it out. Like, okay, I did. It popped right out, not a big problem, but kind of unusual. Oh well, anyway. But that's what I got done. That's what I'm going to try and finish today. And guys, oh shoot, I still got to do the pilots. I have actually a lot of work. I got to put the missile racks on it, which I forgot to drill out, but I'm going to pose it as it's coming back from a mission, and that way it won't have any ordnance on it, but I still have to have the ordnance racks in place. But that way, if I make any foibles, I can just put some bullet holes and spread some oil over it or something, and just, use a little bateau damage to cover up my builder's damage. Well, guys, we'll talk at you later. You take care of yourselves. And as always, model on.